Welcome back to MVM. Today we have a preview for a brand new game in the Chronicles of Crime series from Lucky Duck. This one is called Chronicles of Crime Millennium. And just as it sounds, it takes place over 1,000 years.
Right, and this is going to happen in 1400, 1900, and 2400, and 3 different games, but they're all going to sort of tie together.
That's because you are playing a generation of family members which are going to help you through each of these different time periods. And the things that you find later on in the game, you may have seen previously happen in previous games. It's very interesting. However, if you're already familiar with the game, you're going to be familiar with how to play this one. However, each one of these new sets is going to introduce some new mechanisms as you go. The game is still a 1 to 4 player game, so you can play this solo, or you can play with up to 4 different players. It's completely up to you. And it also, just like the previous game, uses a companion app, which is really cool.
Right, and it's interesting in each of these how it's going to use the companion app differently. Obviously in 1400 there's no technology for us to use. Instead we have a pet companion joining us.
That's right. So the one that we've already played is the very first base scenario for 1400. Each of these time periods has 4 different cases, and possibly more with the Kickstarter when it's released. However, that means you're going to have 12 games to play through. In 1400, they introduce a pet companion who can basically, he's a dog, he can basically smell components that you have physically in your possession and kind of lead you down tracks. But of course, you have to be in the right location, you have to be looking at the right item. Also, you're going to notice the game board looks just a little bit different because you have a brown area, just like the previous game, and then you have a blue area. And that's going to represent the items that you've heard about, but you don't physically have in your possession.
Which allows you to ask people about them even if you don't have them with you. So it's an interesting new mechanic to the game. Also, you have your family. So you have a home base you're going to be going back to that has 3 different family members, and they all have different specialties and how they can help you figure out the case along the way.
The other unique thing about 1400 is it adds vision cards. And these vision cards are going to be introduced to you with these blue cards that you see over here. And only specific ones are going to be used on each case. These are visions of the past, the present, or the future. They're introduced at specific times within the game. They're going to give you clues about those specific moments of time. And just as I said, it could be something that happened in the past, or it could be something that happens in a future case along the way.
Right. It's no surprise that they're blue because they may be giving you clues to these special items that go into the blue area of the board. You know that you've seen them or you've heard about them somewhere along the way, and as the vision comes to pass potentially, then you now know where that item might be or where to find it.
Yeah, and if you're wondering if the game plays very similar to the original, it does. You're still going to use your companion app that can either be an iPad or a phone of some sort where you're going to use it to scan specific items, to scan specific people, to scan specific locations, and try to figure out those clues along the way. So functionally it works in the same way. However, that's the 1400. Once you get to 1900, things start to change a little bit because it starts to introduce puzzles and things like that, which we love in games.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited to see how that, and really what we heard is that it's going to take the app out of the equation, and you're going to have this more escape room vibe to it. Then you're going to go forward to 2400. Obviously, we're in the future now, and we're talking about cybernetics. Your pet companion may come back into play, but again, an enhanced pet companion, and you get to upgrade your character with new abilities.
Yeah, one of the cool things about the storyline in 2400 is that you are part of this group who is a detective group, and you get outcast. And it's your job, once you become outcast from that group, you lose all your cybernetics. And you're going to be upgrading through the course of the game, adding new components, which are going to add new things. But you're also competing against androids, because you have humans and you have androids. So you have to kind of deduce if people are real that you're talking to or not. And of course, it's going to allow you to do different things functionally within the app as well because you are in the future. So what it introduces, I'm not quite sure, but I'm excited about that portion as well.
Same here. As you know, the original of the game is MVM approved. We love this game, so I'm excited to get into and seeing what all the new stuff after this initial scenario we played. It got me reinvigorated for the game, so looking forward to it.
And if you're curious at all about the game, please go back and check out our preview and review of the original game. We really, really enjoy this game, as you mentioned. This is MVM approved. It's one of our favorite games from last year. Has a lot of different threads and a lot of different ways you can solve it. At the end of each one of these cases, you're going to be graded on how well you figured it out and whether or not you figured it out at all. Really, really fun game, and I can't wait to experience all these different time periods with all the different mechanisms that it adds to it. So that is Chronicles of Crime Millennium. And that is the 1400 that we've played and introduced to you. Be sure to check it out on Kickstarter to see all the final components, all the other hidden goodies that they're going to add as well. And if you have any questions about the game, make them in the comments below. Subscribe to us, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and everything else that we do. And we'll catch you guys next time.